Hello from Delmarva. Welcome back to Shorebilly Farm. I'm gonna die. Oh God. Let's try that again. Hello from Delmarva and welcome back to Shorebilly Farmer. It is a beautiful day on Delmarva. We just had some rain last night, an inch, which we certainly didn't need any more of that. Everything's still flooded around here. It is in the upper 50s. It's sunny, very little wind. It is a beautiful day. So I'm going to start pressure washing some of that equipment that we're going to be selling to make room for our new piece. So I'm going to get the discs are already hooked up to the New Holland from when we did that dirt work out there on the new ground that we got in the previous videos. And I'm gonna go ahead and just drag them straight over here, pressure wash everything first, and grease everything really good, make it presentable, start taking some pictures and put that on the market along with the field cultivator and the rolling harrow, and get that stuff on the market and hopefully sold. I'm gonna try to price it attractively to unload it. But anyway, I figured since I'm gonna be doing a lot of pressure washing today, I'm not gonna video really any of that. You guys have seen enough enough pressure washing. While I'm running around, I want to take this time and kind of fill everybody in on how I became a first generation farmer. It is a path that takes me back to about when I was 5 years old. Behind our home, we had about 40 acres of farmland, but then there was a set of woods, and then the marsh was behind that. And when the farmer would come by and do any kind of field work, whether it was spraying, combining, disking, planting, it didn't matter. When he would come by, I was always in the backyard. I had my toy tractors that I had, and I would always watch them go back and forth. Well, one day when my mom was out in the backyard and I was out there, he stopped and asked me if I wanted to ride. I ended up riding with him for a little bit, and from that point, I've been hooked, and I am still friends with that farmer to this day. Anyway, that one instant really kind of set the course for the rest of my life. From that point forward, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a farmer. This tractor has not been started in about a month. Let's see if she fires up. Come on. There we go. Precision. All right, while the tractor's warming up, I just go over, we showed this before. This field cultivator is one of the items that we're looking to sell and get rid of, make room for the new piece of tillage, as well as this rolling harrow is going to go as well. But we haven't cleaned these up yet since we planted winter wheat about a month and a half ago, so we got to go ahead and go through this completely. You know, we pressure wash them every year, get everything clean. We did put new sweeps on. I had one sweep that had a bad bolt on it. I did find the sweep because I happened to be looking back when this fell off and found it immediately. So while I've got it over there, we're gonna go ahead and put this sweep back on with a new bolt, get that taken care of. But everything's gonna be pressure washed off. We're gonna grease everything again, check everything over. Really, none of this has ever had any kind of leaks or anything, so there's not a whole lot to do to it other than clean it. But you can see it has a lot of dirt and things built up on it, especially rolling harrow because it throws so much dirt up in the air. But we'll get rid of that. And you see behind me, this is our winter wheat that we planted. This here is 41 acres. It kind of goes around and back that way behind the woods. But we're trying our best to stay off of it because it is, I mean, you can see the ground is just greasy looking. It's sloppy. So we're trying our best to stay off of it and not rut anything up. But it's got a good stand so far. I'm sure there's some areas that are drowned out, but it's coming along. It's looking good. I mentioned that I had these two chisel plows, these smaller chisel plows. This one is currently it is 11 feet, and this one is 18 foot. And one of the things I'm thinking about, if I do not get that field cultivator sold, because it's the same frame as a 2400 chisel plow, it's a 2210 field cultivator, I thought about measuring and seeing if these shanks will work off of these chisel plows, take both of these and combine them, or take both the shanks off of these, put it on that frame in there, take the sweeps off, and use that as a chisel plow. Then I would have one 24-foot chisel plow. Makes it a lot more efficient. That tractor can pull it. Oh, that's better. Bunch of animals living here. Mainly me. Okay. Anyway, fast forward to high school. While I was on the school bus, I got into a fight and ultimately ended up breaking a window on the school bus. You know, I had to pay for it. The school bus driver called my father and explained to him what happened, that they had to pay for it. My father said, well, you're a farmer. Can my son, being me, work it off on the farm? And the school bus driver said, you know what, that works. He said he had just gotten a load of sawdust in his chicken house, which that's what they use for litter for the chickens to bed down in. And he needed it all knocked down and leveled out. So that's what I did. I guess he liked the way I worked. So I ended up, after paying off the window, he had a couple other odd jobs he wanted done. And then that led into the first time I was actually on a tractor in a field. I was 13 years old, and he put me on an old Massey Ferguson 290 set of 4-bottom moldboard plows, moldboarding out in the field in early March, freezing my behind off, huddled up against the engine, trying to stay warm. That's what really sparked the beginning for me for farming and really expanded my knowledge. And surprise, surprise, who do you think that school bus driver was? You've met him, the majestic creature, Eugene. I farmed all through high school with him, all the way up till I went in the military. And I would come home from the military on my leave and still help on the farm. I'd come home, visit, and run the combine or do whatever to keep that in my blood and to suppress my need for farming. So I was in the military for 6.5 years as active duty, Electronic Warfare Advanced Programs Division. Basically, we worked on radar jammers on F-16s, A-10s, C-130s, and a couple other projects. So anyway, I got out of active duty, moved back home, and was still in the Air National Guard as a civil engineer, as a heavy equipment operator. And I did that for 1.5 years, driving back and forth and everything, and life was getting hectic, and I decided I was not serving the way I really should serve, and it was time for personal reasons to just end it, get out of the military altogether, and concentrate on family and what I wanted to accomplish. So we bought the 5 acres the house sits on, and I kept 2 acres as a yard and began to farm 3 acres for myself, and that was the beginning of Addis Farms. About 1.5 years later, the opportunity came up to purchase the lots on either side of me, and we bought what was in total about 17 acres. Some of it's in a little bit of woods there by the house, but that expanded us out to 13.5 acres of tillable ground. And since then, we farm about 100 acres of our own ground now, 100 acres of rented ground, and then we still share crop, or not even really share crop, but we still work with Eugene on his 200 acres. So we're farming 400 acres, and that is kind of where everything has led. So we obviously don't farm enough ground for me to do this full time. So I had to have a full-time job to farm, and I still do. The farm simply, we don't take any money off the farm. It just goes back into the farm to pay down bills faster, acquire more equipment, more land, reinvest back into the farm, basically. So right now I have a full-time job as I'm a 2-way radio technician for Motorola. I service public safety radio systems, the radio systems that you see police officers use or firemen, the State Highway Administration. I service that radio system. That's what I do currently. Before I had this job, I worked at NASA down at Wallops Island Flight Facility on the Eastern Shore of Virginia. And I was there for about 1 year, and I was under the NASROC contract, and basically I built rockets. We built the payloads that went into the rockets. We built the telemetry systems in the rockets. We built the firing mechanisms to separate the explosive bolts that separate the sections of the rocket, and that's what I did for 1 year. So have you seen that movie Astronaut Farmer? Well, I'm not an astronaut, but it's pretty neat to know that I have built things that are in space, maybe still orbiting. I haven't stayed up with all the projects, but maybe they're still up there orbiting. I've built things that have been to space, and I kind of hang my hat on the fact that there's nowhere between here and the heavens that I have not had a job that didn't pertain to somewhere. I'm putting things in the dirt. I have worked on radar systems that fly on aircraft somewhere between here and space, and I have put things in space. It's just amazing to me the opportunity that we have in this country. You can do whatever you want. You really can, and I'm living proof of that. So that gives you a little bit of an overview on how I got into farming, how Shorebilly Farmer got started. Kids left their toys in the way. So one thing I gotta do before I even put water on here is just randomly, sometimes the scrapers, they actually hold dirt instead of getting rid of them, and some of these scrapers need to be replaced, like that one's missing, but they still hold dirt. Root balls get up in there and just kind of get stuck, and they begin to collect dirt. So get a pry bar, we'll get all that dirt out of there and clean off all the bearings really good. Go ahead and grease everything. Look how wet it is, isn't that crazy? It's just rain, rain, rain. Anyway, we get that taken care of, pressure wash the main frame off, get everything presentable. Pump up my seat. Come on, come on. Well, I think that's going to do it for today. I didn't get to the pressure wash the other equipment off. Just kind of ran out on time. I didn't want to rush this job and miss something when I was greasing it. Checking everything over, looking for loose bolts, nuts, anything that's worn. So that's no problem. It's going to rain tomorrow again. So I might come over, pressure wash everything, take it over in the barn, and grease it in the barn once it's out of the rain. But I think that's going to do it for us today. One thing I want to add is now January 2nd, Saturday. So Happy New Year to everybody. I hope 2021 is better than 2020 has been to us. But we still got our health, still got our family. You know, I'm just hoping 2021 is a better year for everybody. Here's another thing. What is a shorebilly? For those of you that aren't from Delmarva, you've probably never heard the term shorebilly, but you have undoubtedly heard the term hillbilly. Well, we don't have any hills here in Worcester County, Maryland. You know, we're 6 miles from the Atlantic Ocean. We have 0 hills. Matter of fact, the highest geographic spot in Worcester County is the county landfill. So that's the biggest thing we got for a hill around here. It's completely flat. So a shorebilly is somebody like me, who we grew up on the Eastern Shore. You know, we're rednecks, barefoot hillbillies, but we don't have hills. I grew up surfing, wakeboarding, bodyboarding, skimboarding, anything to do with the water, crabbing, fishing, because that's all we have around us, bays in the ocean and so forth. And that is where the term shorebilly came from. And that is why I am the Shorebilly Farmer. Does anybody else ever come home and just find random kid toys laying in the driveway? It's the joys of having these guys right here. What do you say, buddy? You want to move the Jeep for me?